Welcome to Trulyfit.
Dennis, thank you so much for joining the Trulyfit Podcast. Why don't you give my listeners and audience a little background on who you are and what you and your company do in the health and fitness and wellness landscape?
Yeah, sounds good. Appreciate the introduction. My name is Dennis. I am the co-founder of a company called Batch. And Batch is kind of twofold. One, it is a wellness supplement company that is rooted in hemp and CBD, but has since ventured into other natural wellness products. And the other side of that business is we are a farm-to-table manufacturer, basically. So from the hemp farm, in the case of our CBD products, to the extraction, to the bottling, to fulfilling your orders, to the customer service, we do all of that in-house, and we service all of those things for Batch, but we also happen to do that for dozens of other companies. So we actually contract manufacture for a lot of other wellness brands and make products that even we may not offer under Batch. But anyways, the company as a whole kind of has that full supply chain vertical integration. Kind of gives us an intimate understanding of where all of our products come from and how they work.
That's great. And I think because of that, we're going to have a lot of questions basically from the start of the process to the end of the process, right? What I call from soil to sale, and how that goes, not only from the CBD-based products, but from, I guess, your mushroom-based supplements, which I'm really intrigued about. I'm also going to ask you a bunch of questions about your marketing and your SEO and things of that nature. But I want to first go backwards. I don't think you said, but you are located in Wisconsin. Is that for a reason? Are the laws different there from selling CBD supplements than they are in the rest of the country? Or are you just based there because that's where you're from originally?
Short answer is that is where we're from originally. However, with all that said, it has been quite nice being here because we have a really, really good hemp farm. Wisconsin's very suitable for hemp production. Funny story is that, before the hemp prohibition, Wisconsin was actually the nation's leading producer of hemp. Now, the hemp that was being grown at that time was grown 12 feet tall and used for, paper, textiles, etc. And right now we're virtually growing marijuana plants that don't have THC in them. But it's kind of a fun fact nonetheless. So it's served us very well. Our entire team is here and we're all under one roof. So from a business perspective, it's been good. But we have no recreational or medical cannabis here in marijuana. So actually starting the business here was, we were kind of like on an island of information on our own, which was a blessing and a curse, I suppose. It allowed us to separate ourselves within Wisconsin, but also we didn't have a lot of resources of information around us.
But it does sound like you were at an advantage just by pure luck, right? So if you were in, let's say, southern Texas, like probably the soil and the temperature might not be the right for growing those individual hemp plants. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It has served us very, very well, and we have almost no environmental hurdles when it comes to the growing.
Yeah, that's a big advantage here. So I'm going to actually go to a virtual question here first, a business question, and then we'll get into everything. I went on your website and I noticed you have a prompt box on your website that pops up with your video, you talking in the bottom right corner. I've seen chatbots. I've seen a million different options. I've never seen that before. Was this your idea? Is this a company that reached out to you? How exactly did you get about that prompt box that had your video on it?
Yeah. I absolutely love that. It's called Tolstoy. It was our idea. We were not approached by it. And the reason we sought it out, or I actually saw it on a different website, and I asked the owner, what is that software? I think this would be perfect for us. And there's more of that to come. And, our brand, what makes us different in the CBD industry, but hopefully also the wellness industry, and you could even say supplement industry, is we're not going to launch a product that we don't know well ourselves, and we don't know the source of that product and how it's made. And especially as it pertains to the hemp products, we are hands-on from the planting of those seeds all the way to your doorstep. And we have that unique ability to show that. And especially in this industry, I think there are a lot of things that are hidden behind closed doors when they don't need to be. And there's still a lot of mystique to hemp and cannabis and sometimes natural wellness in general. And so we kind of take it upon ourselves to show customers how it's all done. This is where we grow the hemp. This is how we extract it. We make it right here. We're the people answering your questions. So reach out and we will engage with you. You can become part of our focus group, etc. And so we really try to create that human connection with our customers because I feel like a lot of the supplement or natural wellness space is a little bit faceless, and there's so much to show. So because we have the ability to, that's a kind of a unique way for us to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great, marketing technique, especially like you said, there's so many of these things that are faceless, or you hop on, you don't know exactly who you're talking to, you're talking to some chatbot, you don't know where they're working from and what they're doing. And because it's kind of an unregulated market in a sense, trust is so important, if that makes sense, right? So like we know that
Exactly.
the FDA isn't like overviewing this, and how do I know that your CBD product is better than the next person's CBD product? How do I even know that the proper chemicals are in this product, right? I can't do anything about it. If I order it and it doesn't work and there's nothing in there and I send it off to a third party lab, I can't sue you. So it's the trust factor, the know, like, and trust factor is really big in that industry.
Exactly. And that's exactly it is, nobody is making us do the things that we do. Nobody's making us self-regulate ourselves for good manufacturing practices, traceability, etc. But we do that anyways, and the best thing that we can do is just show you that firsthand. And I think that's also why, we better be producing a damn good product if we're going to have our face on the website talking, because if you have a problem, you know who to look at now. And so I think that's another element to that trust. If you we've all been to certain websites where you're just not sure if you're going to be scammed. There's no human element to it. And so because we're proud of the work that we do, we're like, well, let's just put it out there. We know what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if there's some hidden third party LLC that you never find out about, if their company goes defunct, right, and goes default, and they are selling nothing but garbage, you never find out, right? They escape clean. They go start another company in another industry, and they rinse and repeat this process and try to burn people. As opposed to if you have your face on this company, literally, then
Right.
everyone knows it's you, and now you have to be held accountable because there'll be nowhere to run to. You'll be known as the person who screwed people over for the rest of eternity.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously everybody does what they do to make some money and provide for themselves, but that just wouldn't be fun to us. So we're doing this because we want to be doing it. And we make the products as good as we can because we use them ourselves. And so that's why it makes this whole thing kind of serendipitous to be able to show off what we do while making products that we enjoy.
Before we go into more of the soil to sale process, I do want to take one small step back. We did an entire episode on the endocannabinoid process and CBD, but for listeners who didn't listen to that, give me just a little bit of background and science about like the demographic, the people who would be using CBD, why they would be using it, and what your customer looks like.
Yeah, it is. What our customer look like is extremely diverse. So CBD derived from the hemp plant, it is non-intoxicating, unlike THC, which is a more common cannabinoid molecule, which is produced in abundance by the marijuana plant. CBD is abundant in the hemp plant, non-intoxicating, like I said. Despite being non-intoxicating, it does have a wide range of health potential. What it is mostly purchased for is for sleep, stress, anxiety, relaxation. I put that kind of in a bucket. And then pain and inflammation. The way that those products can be delivered are generally either an ingestible product like a gummy, a oil, or a capsule, or a topical product like a cream, a lotion, a balm. The topicals can be used for either skin or topical relief inflammation. That is generally what they're all purchased for. There are a lot of other nuanced things, more medically specific things that people take CBD for that I won't bother getting into, but generally that is our customer base. And what's funny is, us being an online company, our age range is literally from, 2018 all the way up to 65 plus. And we don't have our customer base isn't abundantly in that 65 plus category, but the ones that are have the longest purchase history. So it's more of an access problem, but I think that group can benefit tremendously from these products.
Yeah, I as a personal trainer who focused specifically on that population for a long period of time, I had a lot of my seniors who would use the transdermal CBD products for joint pain and
Yes.
inflammation, and found it
Arthritis.
successful.
Yeah.
As opposed to the younger population, seemed to be more of the gummies for sleep. The older population seemed to be more of the arthritic joint pain transdermal.
Absolutely. From being in this industry, it's really crazy. I've learned that everybody has trouble sleeping. It seems like. I mean, not literally everybody, but I was stunned with how many people have trouble sleeping or at least occasional issues with sleep.
Yeah, it's we've had conversations about this on this podcast. A lot of times it's uh, not even physiological. It's psychological. It could be anxiety. They're going to bed without sort of turning their mind off, so
Exactly.
they can't actually get to sleep. But the CBD, I've taken the gummies before and found that useful. I don't have problems sleeping, so I'm not a good like sort of test candidate here. But I did feel like it was equivalent to almost like a Benadryl type aspect where I just became calmer and eased into sleep at a faster pace than I would have otherwise.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of how I describe it too. Sometimes people worry as they should with taking a new supplement, and it's not sedating in any way. I always say it helps you go to sleep voluntarily better. But like
Yeah,
if
I
you were to
like that
take it
term.
in the middle of
Yeah.
the day, it's not like you're going to be, holding on to the railing trying to stay awake or anything like that. It's not like this powerful sedating drug. It's not even like melatonin. But it does help you relax quite a bit.
So, what is your? I think this is going to help us paint a picture for me and my audience. What is your day like, or someone's day from start to finish, as far as like analyzing the product? Like, are you going to the fields and being like, okay, everything looks good, the soil looks good, the plants look good, and then like those plants get taken out and then they get moved to like a secondary facility? Just walk me through the actual start from picking the plant to it being produced and sold.
Absolutely. So my office, where most of our team is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Our farm is about 3 hours north. And being in this industry 5 years later, we do not need to micromanage the farm as much. We have farmers up there that manage everything, water it day to day, and manage all of the harvest. So early on, when we were like inventing our process, we were much more hands on to that. And now that the process is created, we can trust and we just kind of do some video calls to check in on everything. But what that process looks like is we plant seeds in the throughout the entire field. We do several, about 10 acres, about 1,000 plants an acre in the spring, and we harvest in the fall. Most of that um, growing period is simply watering the plants and pulling any male plants that pop up because we're only harvesting female plants. Male plants run the risk of pollinating the field. And if they pollinate the field, the energy of the plant goes into making more seeds rather than cannabinoids or chemistry. So, anyways, that's basically what happens on the day to day on the field. We harvest, we hang all of the plants up in a barn to dry. Again, this is at the farm. We shuck only the buds from the hemp plant, and because that's where all the chemistry is held, and then it is delivered to our facility. Once it's delivered to our facility, now that happens basically once a year because there's one grow season. And when it's delivered to our facility, we then extract all of the oils from that hemp biomass. What that looks like is we use what's called a cold ethanol extraction. And we use food grade ethanol. I know ethanol kind of is like a scary word sometimes, but it's really not at all. It's a lot of botanical extracts are made using cold ethanol washes. But all you do is you basically soak the plants in ethanol, and that extracts all of the chemistry from it. And then you distill off the ethanol, and you can use it over and over again. And we do solvent analysis after every batch to make sure that all of it is removed from the extract. And what you're left with is this rich, full spectrum oil. It's extremely thick and extremely potent and concentrated. You would never consume that directly. That would be way too probably foul and also just too strong. But that extract is the secret ingredient that basically powers all of our hemp derived products, all of our CBD products. So that gets mixed into gummies, oils, topicals, etc. And that extract is basically the full representation of the hemp plant from which it is derived. So having good genetics and strong growing practices, organic growing practices, are what are going to lead to that high quality extract. And a lot of CBD products out there will actually isolate the CBD out of that extract. We do not do that. We believe that while CBD is the poster child, all of the nutrients and cannabinoids working together in that extract are really what the magic is in this industry. So anyways, that is what the production process looks like. We bottle everything right there under one roof, and we ship directly to customers' doorstep. Now, you asked about my day-to-day. My day-to-day isn't necessarily doing each one of those steps anymore now that the process is in place.
Sure.
Most of what I do is on the customer side, the branding side, um, a lot of the SEO side, stuff like that.
So, do you market on purpose that you don't take all of those other cannabinoids out, and that you want the synergistic effect that can maybe only happen if you leave them in there? Is that like a big like marketing push by you guys to say like these other companies are actually doing this, which is going to give you a less effective CBD?
Yeah, definitely. And so it's referred to as the entourage effect in this industry. The entourage effect is the term used for this synergistic effect in the hemp industry. And we do market that because our brand is really about the integrity of that plant. And so I don't want to say that by isolating CBD or filtering out some of these cannabinoids that you're left with a pile of garbage, because you're not. You still have this powerful molecule working for you. It's just not as much our brand philosophy. And because we make a lot of these other brands as well, and we get to see and try firsthand, the you will not feel it as much. Just plain and simple. Now, it might taste a little bit better. You can maybe make it smell and taste like your favorite candy. It's going to be in a nice clear oil. Uh, there's zero point 0.0 THC, so maybe if you're worried about having that trace amount of THC, you do not need to worry about that when you isolate CBD. That's all fine. But as far as pure effectiveness, the full spectrum product is superior, and I think most people would agree with that. And so that's just because our brand is kind of effect forward. That's just how we make all of our products.
I'm a bit naive to this, so feel free to correct me if wherever I'm wrong here. But the terpenes in marijuana, isn't that what makes it smell? Do they have terpenes as well? Is there a specific
Yeah,
smell to the CBD that the average person doesn't know?
yeah, absolutely. So terpenes are aromatic compounds that actually give cannabis their unique expressed effects. So, just to make the more relatable comparison to like marijuana, if you ever hear the word indica or sativa, or, maybe somebody says, this strain makes me sleepy and this strain makes me giggly and hungry, or whatever it may be, the same are present in hemp strains, but because we're not getting high in this case, the effects are a little bit different. Um, but we have chosen a strain that is kind of holistic. It's not particularly sleepy or uplifting. It's what we consider somewhat full body. But yeah, those are all in there, and preserving those, I think, also gives a more rich experience. And so if you were to isolate cannabinoids, you would also be removing all of the terpenes as well.
Let's move on to some of your mushroom products here. Those are really interesting. Can you talk about the benefits of mushroom-based supplements, and then the types of mushrooms that you use, and maybe the differences in what each mushroom does from a, from the body perspective?
Yeah, totally. So functional mushrooms are really fascinating. I'll start by saying, we wanted to launch a product that was outside of CBD. And we also wanted to launch a product that could help with focus and concentration. So the one product that you're referring to that we have launched right now is our Brain Boost mushroom gummies, which are essentially it's a focus cognition product. And so when we set off to produce this product, we again wanted to make a product that was natural, of the earth, but also very effective. And we didn't know much about functional mushrooms at the time. But when we started developing this and trying it and entering it into our focus groups to see if it actually worked and something that we could launch, I was stunned at how effective it is and the results that we have received since launching it, particularly for a little bit for energy, but more so for that focus and cognition in a way that's very different from coffee. Coffee energizes you and can, or caffeine. Some people can make them a little jittery or anxious. This is uh, more comparable to a calm energy. But anyways, the mushrooms that we use in that product are lion's mane, cordyceps, and reishi. Lion's mane is kind of the hero product or the hero ingredient in that product and is most known for its cognitive effects. People say it can help with dementia, immunity, etc. Cordyceps is most commonly known for its ability to um, for energy, and even sometimes it's used for athletic performance. And then reishi is another kind of immune support product, also can help with energy levels. We put those three together, and it has been absolutely tremendous for us so far. I mean, really, um, we have customers from uh, you know, older people that are, dealing with maybe some brain fog or memory issues to people that just want to lock in at work or maybe even replace their prescribed focus drugs sometimes. Now, obviously, I have no ability to recommend doing that, but that is generally what they've been used for.
Are you also growing those mushrooms? How does that process work from, again, from soil to sale?
Great question. I wish we were, but no, that's one of those things where the mushroom industry, unlike the hemp industry, has been around for literally forever. They've been even using ancient medicine. And so there was no point of us to reinvent the wheel, not to mention, I don't know that we could even grow these mushrooms in Wisconsin. So ultimately, what we did is we partnered and got close with a uh, foragers that outdoor grow, organic growing, everything that aligns with our brand, looked at their extraction process and basically sourced the raw extracts from them, and then went back to our normal playbook of implementing them into the products that we offer.
Is this a competitive market? I do know a few other like big box brands that sell these. I've taken all three of these, and I know that the reishi mushroom a lot of times is in kombucha, certain brands. I've taken lion's manes and cordyceps from other brands like On It and some of these.
Yeah,
But is this a very competitive market, or you guys feel like you're at the ground floor here?
we seem to love being in competitive markets because we're in CBD right now, which is as competitive as it can possibly get. So to
Sure.
us, it seems a lot less competitive. I would say by no means is this an untapped, wide open industry right now, but I think there's still a lot of it is still relatively ground floor. I think a lot of the buzz is coming from the mushroom coffee industry, like Mudwater and Rise, and some of those brands are doing a really good job. And kind of like I described, it's not like coffee. It doesn't feel like coffee, but it is a potential substitute for. And so that's kind of the market that those brands have captured. But us, we're already making gummies, and so this fits well into our brand. And I think there's still a lot of opportunity. And also, you know, those are three functional mushrooms of several other popular ones, and I feel like several yet to be discovered. So I think mushroom wellness is going to continue to evolve and become very popular. And I don't know as much as there is to know about it, but I do look forward to future research and future um, mushroom strains to be discovered.
Well, staying on that topic, and you don't have to divulge company secrets here, but I would imagine you have to get ahead of these trends sometimes. Like, do you guys actively try to research to say, like, okay, is there some other sort of plant-based medicine that is either trending or that we can get ahead of to see if we could add a third product? Is this, or is there something that you know about that seems to be coming down the pipe?
Absolutely, and we hold no secrets. I'll tell you anything you need to know. Um, but the main way that we do that is generally using our SEO tools. So if you want to be specific, SEMrush, Ahrefs are generally the two. in the industry, for SEO research. And really what we're looking at is search volume. What are people searching in the wellness space? Seeing if there's any upward trending searches. Like more recently, we've what was the one? It was chlorophyll drops. We noticed are getting very popular
Yeah.
for detoxing, internal deodorant, etc. So we can make anything.
Seaweed is as well.
Yes,
So
exactly.
yeah.
So, we see those and in search volume and try to get ahead of them. We also try to consult with people in the wellness industry and let them know, hey, is there anything you're hearing, or have them let us know if there's anything that they're hearing about that seems to be gaining in popularity, and then we will go do our keyword analysis after the fact. And then when it comes time to act on it, we try our best not to just jump on a fad or a trend. We try to only launch things that genuinely work. So we will first iterate a product, try it ourselves, do our own research, make sure that it's not anything that could possibly be harmful. As long as those boxes are checked, send it out to the focus group with surveys, get feedback, and if there is conclusive positive results, we'll continue to iterate to make that product as good as we can. And if there's mixed results or a chance of it being maybe a little gimmicky, then we try to stay away from it, which is why I think most of the products that we launch right now are products that you can feel. That's not to say that, if you were to take vitamin C or something, nothing wrong with that. It's just not as much our identity. But anyways, that's how we kind of stay on top of these wellness trends, is mostly just see what people are searching for.
Yeah, I also rather have a company do two or three things right. It's like when you go to like Cheesecake Factory and they give you 600 items on a menu. It's like, well, I know you don't do any of these well, and I know most of these have to be in the freezer if you have 600 things on your menu. Right? I'd rather go to an Italian restaurant that has 8 dishes because I know you do them all well and
Exactly.
it's probably fresh.
Yeah, exactly. And it allows you to really give dedication to iterating that and developing that product. It is one of the most fun things about our company, is really diving deep into, like right now we're making an energy gummy with a little bit of caffeine. And unlike the focus gummy, this one's more energy gummy. We're trying to make it for fitness purposes and for movement. And, we're using green tea extract for the caffeine and a few other ingredients. And it's really hard to make because caffeine is very bitter, and to put it in a small gummy and make it taste good is very difficult. But we also don't want to compromise on the effects. And we've been working on this singular product for a couple months, and we're so close to having it ready. But point is it's fun to really give that attention to the product, make it just right, and be proud of it when you actually release it, and be confident that people are going to enjoy it.
Well, I'm sure you've done your market analysis, but I will say that fitness people in general are a little bit easier to deal with as far as taste is concerned because we've been eating nasty stuff our entire lives, right? So we've been taking
Sure.
proteins and protein bars and all of these things with and whatever it was, scoops of like NO Explode and things that just haven't taste great for the entirety of our lives. So we are a subset of people who are willing to take on something that doesn't taste great.
Totally. No, and I get that. And we went back and forth on that too. And, we'd be like, well, it's not that bad, but it's kind of bad. And I think the philosophy that we ended up coming back to was, well, if you're going to make a gummy, the gummy should taste kind of good. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you could just keep it in a powder the way it is. And so if we're
touche.
gonna, there's a reason though that you can't really find many of these out there on the market. So we're like, you know what? Let's just take our time. Let's master it, and then maybe we'll have that thing that we haven't seen in a while called differentiation.
Yeah, I going back to what you were talking about. Let's hit on some SEO. I know that SEMrush and Ahrefs actually don't really agree all the time, which I find interesting. So, like, if I'm looking at like the domain authority or domain score of a site, it can give a 70 on Ahrefs, and it can give a 43 on SEMrush. So that I always find that interesting and intriguing. I have to sort of like stick with one if I'm looking up domain authorities of sites. But how do you use it in a day-to-day perspective? Are you going into these programs and like looking up competitor sites and saying like, okay, what are my competitors doing? Is that typically how you're using them?
Good question. So we do a large number of things. The domain authority, I don't care what my domain authority is necessarily. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I use it as a reference point for other sites. What I use it for most often though is actually for affiliate marketing. So we have a lot of third-party publications that write content about our brand. That being, best CBD gummies in 2023, best CBD oil, what's the difference between hemp and marijuana? And a lot of these third-party publications like Forbes and Healthline and Discover Magazine, etc., are writing that content about us. And in a lot of cases, they're proposing a advertising package to us. And I use SEMrush as a way to evaluate the potential of that relationship. So if I
Yeah.
get to see the traffic coming to that site, the domain authority of that site allows me to understand what the potential is of that site to post content about us. Also, I absolutely use it for a competitor analysis, not only to get an understanding of how large a company is, what is that company's audience. If you can see the traffic going to their site, gives you a good point of reference on their size and influence. But also you can use it to see, well, what are some of the other sites that are directing to this competitor? Maybe there's an opportunity to hop in for an affiliate relationship if I notice that there's a large degree of traffic coming from a certain source to a competitor. But I really do go on that. We use SEMrush mostly, and like you said, there's kind of like two conflicting pieces of information sometimes, but generally add up in the same trend. Um, and yeah, we go on that every day. I also look at our own keywords to see what we're ranking for. When it comes to SEO, we do a lot of content generation, a lot of blogging, and to see which keywords are driving the most organic traffic for our site can also be really insightful.
Yeah, and for those who are kind of confused about this whole process, maybe I'll give a larger like kind of macro picture here. People think that blogs are outdated. It's like nobody reads blogs anymore. That went out the way with MySpace. It's like, well, I get that, but the reason why blogs are important is because you can build backlinking, which builds the domain authority of your site. And to what is domain authority? Well, it's essentially Google's ranking of the legitimacy of your site and or business, right? So if Google says that my site and my business has a little bit more authority, I'm likely to rank higher for those keywords. So when I type in, let's say, best CBD, Dennis wants his company to come up. He wants Hello Batch to be at the top of this, right? So he's trying to rank for those keywords. But in a sense, there are certain keywords you'll never rank for. So if you're a fitness professional and you're trying to rank for, let's say, six pack abs, you're not going to rank for that, right? Because the search difficulty is usually ranked from 1 to 100, right? The difficulty of that word is going to be like an 85. So you're going to need 500 links to back up. So you go, okay, well, let me rank for something more specific and niche. I'm going to look for six pack abs for 50-year-old males, right? And then now I can have that keyword difficulty come down to a 25, and maybe the search volume is less, but I'm still more likely to rank for that specific thing. And if that's exactly what I'm writing about anyway, that's what I want people to click on. So
Exactly. It can be very high in intent when you go for those long-tailed, nuanced keywords. And the other thing with blogging, yes, blogging may seem outdated, but what you're also doing is you are telling Google that you're an expert on your topic. So domain authority is kind of like a general measure of authority, but there's also what's referred to as topical authority, which isn't given a numerical score necessarily. But if I'm, ESPN.com isn't going to rank for, best stilettos or something because they have a topical authority in sports. And so in my case, I am going to write content that answers any question anybody could have on the hemp industry, functional mushrooms, CBD, etc. And then as a result of that, when I release a new piece of content or if I launch a new product, Google is going to realize, okay, well, Batch has covered all of their bases. They seem to know everything there is to know about hemp. They're informing their customers about hemp, CBD, etc. And we are going to validate them by putting them higher in the search results.
yeah, and just to add to that, that's a great point. And you're not going to really trick the system. Of course, people always try to. Or it's like, how do I get around this? But if ESPN wants to write this article on whatever CBD or stilettos, something that they have nothing to do with, and then I click on the article because I see that they ranked high because, okay, they have a high domain authority, so they showed up high. I click on it, but they're actually talking about the New York Jets. Well, then I'm going to click off the article real quick.
Exactly.
And then Google notices that I'm not actually staying on the page, right? And that gives them sort of a hit, for lack of a better term, right? That's a red flag. So there's no real way to beat the system. That's why you want to have an expertise in an area where people are actually coming to read. Like, you're putting out good content. You're not just throwing something up there so that people click.
Totally. And there's always tips and tricks that you can do, but the longer I've been in SEO, the more I realize that you can't really trick Google in the end. Or if you do for a short amount of time, it's going to catch up eventually. There's no real get rich quick hack to SEO, and it is a tough one to implement because it doesn't work until it does. It's a long game. It's not like, oh, well, I'm going to put a little bit of money into this and then where are all my sales? It's something you have to just water over time and basically just put a small budget aside for.
Yeah, that's a great point. It really is, it's actually how muscle synthesis works. People don't understand this, but it's a light switch. So, if you want to be below the amount of protein that you need a day to really build muscle, but you're right below it, you almost might as well have no protein. You need to get above that threshold to turn that light switch on, to start building that muscle. And people don't understand that, right? So, and it's the same thing with SEO. It's like, until it happens, until you start ranking for those keywords, and until both your niche authority and your overall authority goes up, and all these things start coming together in conjunction, then you're going to be like, why am I doing this? Like, what is going on here? Like, it's not moving the needle. It's like, well, you don't know it, but it's moving the needle in the background. And the second you push past that limit, then the flood comes, so to speak.
Right. And then once you are over that limit, everything feels easier. And then you have a moat around you at that point too, because if anybody wants to catch up, they have to go through that same process that you just did.
That's a great way to put it. And then also, the work you did is not unique to like one individual site. Everything helps out. So if you have a blog and you're writing about everything to do with CBD and mushroom and wellness products, but like the one article you wrote on cordyceps mushroom is your highest ranking article. Well, that helps everything, right? That helps the entire site. That helps all of your other sites. So obviously you're going to intra-site blog link from that cordyceps mushroom article to the lion's mane article. So that helps that. So, sort of all boats rise with the rising tide, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah, you just got to stay diligent.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate both of your explanation from soil to sale and the SEO tactics. Why don't you give my listeners some insight into where they can find your products?
Absolutely. So our website is hellobatch.com. All of our products are there. All of our information about our process and video content about what I was describing earlier on seed to sale. If you want to learn more, we have a lot of cool things to check out there. Our Instagram is batch_by_WHS. We post a lot of cool stuff there. And if you ever want to get in touch with me, I'm happy to talk to anybody. If you reach out via Instagram DMs or just the contact page on our website, just tell them that you heard me on a podcast and you just want to get in touch, or send me an email and they'll pass you right along to me. So happy to talk, and appreciate any inquiry.
My guest today has been Dennis Mistrioty. Thank you so much for joining the Trulyfit Podcast.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.